Let's face it, regardless of how much money a person has, they've got to learn how to manage it, and they've got to understand they can't have everything. It was fascinating. Early in my career, I would see some millionaires who would spend every penny they had. I would see others that would micromanage every penny, and then I would see some that had a healthy relationship. I became fascinated to learn what the insight was on why they showed up so differently. Let's face it, regardless of whether you're struggling or you're doing okay or you're a multimillionaire, if you're overspending, it's a problem, right? Well, I was talking to one of my peers who is a psychologist, and she said people who shop in the malls have holes in their souls. And I was like, what does that mean? I shop in the mall. She said, when somebody is compulsively shopping, meaning their focus is always on shopping, always having the latest, the newest, the greatest, they're doing it to try to compensate. And clearly they're compensating for a low worth barometer, which is your belief in your self-esteem. But at the time I was fascinated by it. And I wanted to learn more. I wanted to understand what really was the key and what did the people who had a more healthy relationship that didn't see something they wanted and have that impulse to buy it. And that, my friends, is what I'm going to share with you today. So if you want to learn the inside scoop on what people do so that they stick within their budget, whether you're financially free or you're on your journey to become financially free, you're going to love today's episode. So hi and welcome. I'm Annette Ba'u, the host of the Millionaire Insider. For over 30 years, I've been advising and researching the top 1% and 2% of millionaires to learn what millionaires with amazing lives do differently. And now I'm providing you practical, easy to implement insight so that you can build a profitable business with more ideal, affluent clients and also learn the inside scoop on creating a financially free life you love. So let's dive into managing your money, the 3-day rule. You know, it's so fascinating. If you start understanding the brain, you understand your limbic brain, your prefrontal cortex, you start understanding why you do things, why you say something, and you're like, why did I say that? We've got to learn how to push the pause button. We've got to learn how to say, oh, somebody says something and you want to respond back. And we clearly do that more probably with people we're closer with, unfortunately, than people we don't know. But we really shouldn't do it either in either scenario, right? And as we start evolving and as we become more healthy and we elevate our worth barometer, we won't. But there's always that impulse of either saying something or doing something when we're not completely in the driver's seat of our business or our life. And so one of the things I want you to think about is, one of the things that's really important is when you see something you just have to have, like you just can't wait to have it, just pause. Do you really need it? Can you afford it? Well, today you're going to learn what to do about it so that you can calm that limbic brain down and you don't act on impulses and you can start thinking more rationally with your prefrontal cortex. Before we dive in, please click subscribe and ring the bell so you get notified of future episodes. The materials, forums, and intellectual property in this training are copywritten by themillionaireseries.com. The information we provide is not intended to replace any specialist or advisor or to give you tax, financial planning, investment planning, healthcare advice, anything. You've got to consult with your own doctors, your own healthcare team, and your own advisors. All participants agree to hold millionaireseries.com, harmless for results achieved or not achieved, and all international copyrights are reserved. For today's show notes, go to millionaireseries.com/1001. For all show notes in the Wealthy Life series, go to millionaireseries.com/WLI. So if you want to create a wealthier life, you really want to get on the fast track to achieving your goals, you can download our Wealthy Life formula. Go to millionaireseries.com/WL guide. This guide literally walks you through the formula that I learned by working and advising multimillionaires for over 30 years. And it's a simple guide. It's going to teach you foundation, strategy, and execution. And I'm telling you, my friends, it's a game changer. If you're not achieving your desired results, you just have to change your formula. This guide shows you how. So again, millionaireseries.com/WL-guide. If you want to serve more affluent clients, our upcoming training is on how to get your share of affluent women and couples. You can go to millionaireseries.com/affluent, or you can go to millionaireseries.com/AWT for Affluent Women template. This template is designed to go with the masterclass, but it helps you learn what you need to do so that you can serve more ideal affluent clients. So let's dive in. Managing your money, the 3-day rule. Today's question comes from Valerie M., whose goal is financial freedom. And yet she often overspends. And she says, I don't know what to do. I want to be financially free. I'm motivated. And then all of a sudden I find myself buying stuff I don't need. Can you relate? I mean, any one of us can relate, right? You know, we look at it. I used to buy so much jewelry. I didn't really like jewelry. But I all of a sudden I'm like, you know, I don't need any more jewelry. You know, and my lovely husband, I mean, my gosh, I have a best husband, not just because he buys me a lot of jewelry, but he's just a great guy. But, you know, when people always see my diamond ring and they're like, oh, I want your husband. I'm like, you want my husband not because of the diamond ring. You want my husband because he's a great guy. But, you know, I used to get all this jewelry. I mean, I don't wear a lot of jewelry. I wear a couple rings. I wear my diamond earrings that I got for my anniversary that matches my wedding ring. That's pretty much it. So I just have done everything I can to get rid of stuff. But, you know, we've all have little things that we have a tendency of collecting. You know, my neighbor across the street, she's got all these stuffed animals. I'm like, what are you doing with those? And, you know, they have these yard sales and she's selling some of them. I'm like, why don't you just give them to charity? But the reality of it is that we all do this to some extent. But when I went back and I reviewed this clip on how I explained the 3-day rule and the insight, I wanted to share it with you. And then what we'll do is we'll circle back around and I'll give you some additional takeaways that I've learned and I've gotten insight from since we did this clip. So let's dive in. So today's question comes from one of our Performance Mastermind members, Valerie M. She said, I want to be financially free, but I spend money on things I don't really need. Can you please help me? So what I want to share today is what I refer to as the 3-day rule. And this is something that I have used for over, probably 30 years with some of my clients' children, and even people that would come to my workshops that weren't in a financial position they wanted to be and needed to do something to change it. So the first thing, the 3-day rule is you go shopping. Ideally, if you're going shopping, you're going shopping for something you need. One of the most dangerous things you can do is go shopping for anything. Just go shopping. Like today we're going to go shopping for what? Anything. It's like, oh my gosh, you're going to be spending money you really shouldn't be spending. So I encourage you to make sure that first of all, you're going shopping, you have a list, you know where you're going, and you're very specific about it. But you get somewhere and you just see something you have to have. I just have to have those boots. What I encourage you to do is to leave the store. So you drive all the way home, wait 3 days, and then if at the end of 3 days you still really, really want them and you can afford to buy them in cash, you turn around, you drive all the way back to the store and you buy them in cash. It's really that simple, but I will tell you that one strategy will dramatically impact your life. And what it will allow you to do is to get much more focused in on what you want, what you need, and what you can eliminate. Because what you say yes to requires that you say no to something else. So you say yes to those boots, you're saying no to the amount of money that you'd be able to invest for your retirement. So everything we say yes to has a subsequent no tied to it. So you just got to get really clear on what you want, because ideally what you want to do is you want to be enjoying your life now and also creating a plan so you can enjoy it in the future. So that was a great question. I really hope you incorporate this because it can really have a dramatic impact on your life. So there you have it. Wasn't that great? Now what I want to do is dive into a couple fast action tips so you know what to do and it can stay top of mind. Number 1, always go shopping with a list. And one of the things I would recommend, if you have a tendency of like overspending, take cash with you. I can remember one time going to the grocery store, because I always overspend going to the grocery store. In fact, my husband's like, we just need to not send you to the grocery store. So I only go to one that's got all my organic stuff that I sometimes like to go to, but a lot of times he goes. If you're really not good at that, like I'm not, just have somebody else go. If you don't have a great husband that does that, then hire someone. You'll save money in the long run. If you can't do that, then write out what you need and be really specific and don't get anything else other than what's on the list. The problem is when you go shopping and you're hungry, you're going to buy everything in sight. I mean, that's what I do. I wait and I'm like starving and then I'm like, oh, that looks so good. Oh, that looks so good. And if it's frozen food, it's one thing. When it's not, it's kind of like you have to eat it, but make sure and get really clear on that. When you're going shopping for, say, clothes, go shopping for what you need. Not, we're just going to go shopping. I always hear people say, we're going to go shopping. And sometimes it's not appropriate for me to say anything, but I'm always like, are you sticking with your budget? Because it's so easy to just get caught up in that. If there's something you really, really want, I mean, we've all had that, right? We've all had that. We see it and we just love it. Oh my God, that dress was so unbelievable. Go home, review your budget, confirm that you can afford to pay for it in cash, not charge it. And if the answer is yes, get in your car, drive all the way back, and buy it. It's that simple. If you can't afford it, then let it go. Start saving towards it and buy something maybe even better. This is going to allow you that time to think about it, time for your limbic brain to get calmed down so that you can say, do I really want this? Because this is where I want you to get. When you say yes to buying that really cute outfit or that diamond ring or whatever it is, going on a trip, whatever it is, you're saying no to something else. And a lot of times you're saying no to a financially free life you love. See, the goal in the financial freedom process is to get to a point where you have enough money that you don't have to work. And I'm telling you, my friends, it is a beautiful day when you can get there. You don't have to work. You're working because you choose to. And if you don't want to work, you don't have to. The reality of it is that most people are spending that money they could be applying towards accumulating wealth so that they can purchase guaranteed income and then have enough money every month that they really don't have to generate any money. That gives you the freedom to do what you want, with whom you want, and when. And it's a beautiful thing. But you got to understand, when you say yes to something here, you're saying no to something there. So if you have a tendency of overspending or you have a hard time managing your money, you can go to millionaireseries.com/1002. That is where you'll be able to access the Affluent Master Budget. It's the budget that I created and I have finessed working with affluent clients. Because let's face it, everyone thinks that once you're a multimillionaire, you don't have to worry about money. I can remember thinking too, like, I can't wait until I'm a millionaire and I don't have to worry about money. First of all, most of the money's invested. It's not like you have access to it. And if you know anything about your money, you're smart about it, you're not spending it because you want to accumulate it. And if anything, you're just living on the money it generates, the income. But what's so fascinating is that once you start getting clear on your needs and your wants, everything changes. So for a couple of years, I was a spokesperson for the Financial Planning Association here locally, and I would be on TV. And I can remember once one of the networks had me go, and I had to go with two different groups. One was a husband and wife, one was a single woman, and I had to go and help them get on their budget. All I did was I said, hey, start using this. This is my master budget. And it was funny because the couple, as my recollection, was really receptive to it. And they're like, oh, this is great. Thank you so much. The woman's like, I deserve this. I want to have a good time. I'm like, did you really need the rims? Did you really need the big screen TV? I mean, we did it in her house, and her house was like, oh my gosh, everything was brand new. It was so nice. And as we started peeling away the layers, we started seeing some issues with the divorce barometer, some issues from a divorce. And, it was unfortunate. But the reality of it is that if you want to have a financially free life you love, not just now where you're generating revenue and you can do what you want, but in the future, you got to do this. 75% of the people over age 65 living in poverty, and that number vacillates a little bit, but they're women, and they're women that weren't broke or poor when they were married or working. We don't want that to be you. So you got to get this under control. And once you get your budget under control, it's easy. Now, one of the things that I will say that I wish I would have done better is, you start making money and you start having a lot of different entities. I just really didn't have an idea of what really is the bottom line that we are, our cash flow. I mean, I knew our cash flow because we do that, but I didn't know it from a perspective of what is really our bottom line, what we've got to have versus what we need. And once I started really paying attention to that and at least knowing on a quarterly basis or semi-annual, okay, in this partnership, this is what it is. In this entity, this is what it is. On this entity, this is what it is. It's so freeing because then you know. And literally, it has allowed us to probably cut out, I want to say 25, maybe even 30% of expenses just by being aware of it. So I really encourage you to pay attention to it and have fun. It doesn't have to be really difficult or, oh my gosh, drudgery. It can actually be quite fun, and you just gotta go with it. Now, if you have a tendency of, falling into that path of spending and not knowing what to do, it's kind of just like a byproduct of your worth barometer and where you're operating. And I don't want you to over panic or anything. I just want you to go to millionaireseries.com/105. You can watch the training on the worth barometer and specifically how to elevate it. Because when you're operating above the grid, you don't overspend. And you also don't micromanage every penny. You've got that healthy relationship. When you're below the grid, you're going to do one or the other, either out of fear or out of anger or out of, justification, whatever it may be. So we want to be able to be in a situation where not only we're in control of our money, but in control of our weight, in control of our relationships. We've got an ability to push the pause button. We've got an ability to push the gas. We've got an ability to do what we need to do in the situation. It's so powerful. It's so important. Another resource I want to give you if you have a tendency of having a hard time pushing the pause button is episode 125, where I dive into focused breathing. Focused breathing, silent meditation, guided meditation, Kundalini yoga, restorative yin yoga has changed my life, literally. I have a lot of energy, and I know a lot of you comment, "You got so much energy. You should have seen me 5-10 years ago." This has really allowed me to calm down, get really clear, really focused, and really have momentum and complete things that could have taken me twice as long. So again, millionaireseries.com/125, but that's a great resource if you do have a tendency of not being able to pause or not being able to say no to something that you really deep down know, I really don't want to say yes to this, but you just feel compelled to. Some other things that'll help, being in nature, hiking, if you skiing, doing yoga, doing chants, prayer, all of those things can help to calm that limbic brain. And what we want to do is we want to get you really comfortable in your skin and really comfortable with who you are so that you don't have to always have the latest and the greatest. It's so easy to get caught up in who has the nicest car, who has the nicest house, who has the nicest this. I don't want you to get on that path. It's just a vicious cycle. And most people who have the nicest house, the nicest car, don't have the nicest bank account. We want you to have the nicest bank account. And then once you have that, then fine. You want to have a nicer car? Fine. You want to have a nicer house? Fine. But let's get really clear on where you need to be and what you need to do. And those resources will help you. So there you have it. So again, if you want to attract more affluent, ideal clients, you can go to millionaireseries.com/affluent. And there I'll teach you how to get your share of affluent women in couples. And if you want the formula to help you create the wealthy life of your dreams, you can go to millionaireseries.com/WL-guide. For today's episode, go to millionaireseries.com/1001. For all of the Wealthy Life episodes, go to millionaireseries.com/WLI. So thank you so much for joining me for Managing Your Money, the 3-Day Rule. I'm Annette Ba'u, host of the Millionaire Insider. All international copyrights are reserved. So this is what happens though. All you really have to do it is once or twice. Now granted, it takes 18 to 254 days to change a habit, on average 66 days. But I'm telling you, if you do this once or twice, it's going to be dialed in. And what you do is you go, you see something, I have to have that. I just love it. You say, I'm not going to buy it yet. Get in your car, you drive all the way home, all the way home. And hopefully it's either cold out or it's rainy out or it's hot out. And you're thinking about it, you're looking if you can afford it. You're thinking about, what am I saying yes to? I'm saying yes to this dress. What am I saying no to? I'm saying no to a financially free life I love. Really? It gives you time to think about it. And then what you're going to find is a lot of times you're going to go, not only do I not want to get back in my car and drive all the way there, or I can't pay for it in cash, or you look at all the clothes you have. Do I really need it? Probably not. So you got it. You guys, you got it. Just know you got it. We have to start somewhere. We can't beat ourselves up. We just got to start doing it. And if we get off track, we got to get back on track. So before you go, click the link. This training is specifically designed to help you on the next stage and where you need help. So I'll look forward to seeing you on that training. Bye for now.